tomorrow I need to do the video about how to use Streetist. But what I really want to make is a video about how to do great street photography. So how do I do both? It's like unpleasantly warm today. It's the middle of the day, the light is harsh, but what I've been realizing doing more and more street photography is that while it's great to go out in the magic hour, things are happening all the time. When the light isn't great, I want to be able to also make it work. I think street photography, one of the most important things we have to get past is this intimidation. We're used to being behind the camera, and as soon as we go out and we're taking street photos, maybe, even the same when we're doing vlogging, we kind of become the center of the attention. Oh, what's he doing? What are they taking a photo of? Why are they taking a photo of me? The reaction of us taking the photo itself is part of documenting that history, and it becomes really important. What great street photographers understand is that the way we edit and the way we complete our vision, that's what lets us convey it to the viewer. The reason I started doing more with street photography is I started realizing I wasn't very good at it. I think that street photography is the art of taking the ordinary things of human existence and the sometimes extraordinary things and extraordinary moments that need to be documented as well in a way that emotionally connects with people. Some people are really adamant that a street photographer always has a human subject, or they make all these rules. I think street photography can be done in a field or in the middle of an urban metropolis. I think the key is that it's about documenting human existence. After chasing the streets for a few years, I started to pull things together because we're back to my analytical self. What is it that makes one street photo amazing over here, and then I see something and it feels amazing and I take a photo and it just falls flat? I'm going to give you 3 tips along this video that are practical in-camera tips that we need to be looking for when we're taking street and documentary photos. And as you get good at this, it's going to make you better at portraits. It's going to make you better at weddings. It's going to make you better at every area of your photography because it helps us to see the nuance and the emotion more in images. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use my new Streetist street editing presets pack. But even if you don't use any of my presets or tools, Filmist, Streetist, none of them, I hope you'll stick around because I think these 3 tips that I've been parsing down over the past 3 years, I think they're going to help you make better street and documentary photos right now, regardless of what your style is or how you're editing. The Streetist pack kind of differs from my other preset packs, not in that you couldn't take these formulas, these recipes, and use them across any image or use them on a portrait. If you like it, use it. So let's come to the first point in what I've learned in trying to improve my street photography, and that is emotion. And there's all these challenges we have to overcome, like do we shoot from the hip and kind of be sly about it, or do we be bold and just aim the camera right at them? Do we have a flash or do we not? And there's all these debates in the street photography and documentary photography world, and it really almost crosses over into news and documentary photography and journalism, because really street photographers, I believe, are journalists. When I was creating Streetist, and it's really something that I've been kind of tinkering with for a year now, trying to build a pack that conveyed what I felt was lacking in our street photos. Obviously, your photos won't be made great by a preset or an action or a filter. These are just tools along the way, although I think these tools can help inspire us, and because emotion is, in my opinion, the most important element, the way we grade and not being timid and not trying to give too much information will actually make our street photos more focused and draw the emotion out. Which brings me to my second key, and that is simplicity. Simplicity in our edit, but also emotion in our edit. When you come into Streetist, you're going to see a very simple and understated pack of recipes, but the recipes are actually very complex and took a long time to put together and test as I was going through all these different things and saying, well, is this the kind of street photo that we're taking? Is this what we want to do? Will this bring out the emotion? Will this help the simplicity? So you're going to go through and you're going to browse until you feel the right formula that conveys the emotion you are going for, right? I captured some kind of emotion. Emotion doesn't always mean someone screaming or people throwing their hands around or maybe glaring at you. Emotion can be a feeling. It can be what you sensed when you're out there. A lot of times when I'm shooting the street, I'm pretty sure you've experienced this, is like you feel something. Maybe you're on a trip, you're in a faraway place, maybe in your hometown, but there's something about what's happening, what you're documenting, that gives you an emotional feeling. The key is that you need to convey that emotion. Emotion, simplicity, and shadow. And when you combine those three, I think you get a formula that starts to checklist yourself. I'm looking for something that has some sort of drama, that has feel to me and to my viewers. I'm documenting something that's going to give them an emotion. But now to convey the emotion that I was feeling, I need simplicity. I need to not distract. And so all this was thought of when I was creating Streetus, which makes it a really unique system. Because a lot of times in digital, we think, oh, I want as much dynamic range as possible. But actually, Streetus says, no, I actually don't. I might even want to go and lower and do a lo-fi dynamic range to make the scene more simple and less dynamic. And so that's where things like the mods here, there's like a basic set of mods right at the top of Streetus, which means, again, it's simplicity. It's not over the top. I'm going to apply blues and whiskey, and now I can control the intensity. So you might want it to be a bit more over the top. Maybe you want to go subtle and just dial it down. It depends on what you're doing. And so in Lightroom, you can come in and just control the opacity. All right. In Capture One, we can come in and we can do more or less the same thing. It's a little different, but you can put the preset on a layer and you can then turn it down. You could double up that layer and then add another one. So the key here with the street photos that we're making is emotion, simplicity, not only simplicity in the scene. Don't try and make it over busy. Don't try and have too much going on, but simplicity in the edit. Not trying to do too much, but at the same time, not being even a little bit timid about doing a color or some kind of a tone that's intense to bring out the shadows, because the shadows bring out the drama. If you look at great street photos, whether they're black and white, and by the way, if I'm doing black and white street photography, I'm just going to use silver, but these same principles are going to apply. I'll use my silver presets and apply the exact same principles we're talking about here. I think color street photography is super powerful. And so if I'm doing color street photography, I'm going to focus on, okay, I'm bringing out the emotion. I'm not worrying at that point of, is this exactly the color that was there? I want to convey to the viewer what I was seeing through my eyes and what, more importantly, I was feeling. Sometimes you go out and you're shooting and you see something that's neat and you're like, no, I want to document that, like this lady with the balloons here, right? But it's pretty harsh sun. And so what I thought of in Streetus is this isn't the same as a portrait. We want to look for formulas and for mixes that are going to bring out the emotion. And that's going to be different for each one of us. And then we want to be able to adjust those. So I might use a gold fade or a high noon that's actually meant to work in this scenario. And then I could balance out the shadows. You see what I'm doing? I'm trying to actually reduce a little bit. The Streetus presets, even though they're very strong edits a lot of times, and you can turn that up or down as much as you want with opacity and layers, but even though they're strong edits, they're also trying to simplify so that the shadow leads the eye in a way that you want and it focuses the viewer on your emotion. Normally, I would do a video just about how to use the presets, but it's not difficult to use the presets. You can take any of these scenes, right? And so you have Streetus and you load the pack up and you can see how to load the presets if you go over to seimeffects.com/help. If you're having any issues, here's your reset. That's your base, right? But ultimately, you're going through and you're trying things. So I'm gonna do the airy push mod first, just because I know it's a little bit dark, and that way I don't even have to go over here, because it's just gonna do the heavy lifting for me. And now I'm gonna go through and just find out what works for that particular scene. And you might look at this and say, well, this is a little bit too intense. Okay, well, I'm gonna turn down coffee and cream a little bit, my street vignette to darken the edges and draw the focus in a little better. And then I'm gonna do the 35mm film mod. And so I've gone from here to here. There are a million things to consider in street photography. And that's why I love it, because it's always challenging you. Because to simplify, it means you have to eliminate. Eliminating means waiting for the right moment. It means using the right shadow and the right light. But sometimes a moment is taken when you have it. And at that point, you have to think, okay, I don't have the most ideal light. Now you're thinking about, how do I simplify with composition? How do I simplify with how I position my camera, with focal length? And then to finish it, you have to complete the simplification that brings out the drama with the edit. And when you do that, it all starts to come together. And just try these. I don't need to describe every formula because that's not going to help you. This is about feeling and create an emotion. And that's why Streetist is made simple. So you can go through and try these different formulas. Then you can come up and try some mods. You can push it, you can pull it, you can add some vignettes. And if you want to mod even further because you haven't quite found it yet, you can go up and you can use the mod kit just like you do in my silver presets, and you can do more mods. And of course, you can always come over and use manual sliders. I never want to discourage people from using the manual sliders. But what presets do for us as image creators, it's not about cheating. It's not about we don't know how to edit. It's about finding the emotion. There's times where I will spend basically a week, and my job for that week is working on one preset formula to get it dialed in. This especially happens on my Filmist pack, which, by the way, yes, I do use Filmist for streets as well. But this kind of spin-off from every other pack I make is focused on inspiring you in your street and documentary work. And yes, you might take it and use it with weddings or even with portraits and other things because you love the mixes and you find recipes you like. But what I want to do is get us focused on these three things, and that is emotion, simplicity, and shadows. You're going to look for what to find in your street photos that makes them work. Streetist is not meant to make your photos look like mine or anyone else's. It's meant to give you a toolkit so you can take intricate recipes of color and shadow, mix them up in a way that you would never try that many variations and try that nuances of curves and colors and tones and hues if you were just editing manually. These are tools, and that's the beauty of raw processing. It's not an AI tool that's building something for us or thinking for us. These are organic, real tools, and we're taking real photos from a real world that convey real emotions, and we're using our editing skills and the tools that go along with it so that we can convey that in as magical a way as possible. I know a lot of this video was more about theory of street photography than how to use Streetist, because Streetist is so easy to use. You install it and you start going over, you find a recipe, you add a couple mods, you tweak it a little manually if you want to, and you have it. But what Streetist is really meant to inspire beyond that is the theory of street photography and us looking for that emotion and that intensity. Yes, the light and the shadow and all those things are important, but what actually matters the most in the end is that you convey the story, you convey the emotion, the drama, and everything that you are trying to get out in what you see. If you can do that, and then if you can carry that through to completion in a way that conveys that to your viewers, you've won. I'm excited about Streetist because it lets me take any photo, any scene, and edit it and bring out what I saw here and what I felt here. And I think that's important. I hope you guys found this video useful. Even if you don't use my presets, I will of course put a link to these in the description below. And I appreciate those of you who support my work and use my presets. And I appreciate the feedback and how much you guys enjoy these and how much they help your work. And seeing the images, head over and join my Shadow Hunters group as well. Please subscribe and like and spread the word. And if you just want to play with some free presets, I will put a link to some of my free presets in the description as well. If you just want to kind of get started on mixing and creatively blending your recipes to get your emotions stronger in your photos. We'll do more videos about street photography if you guys want, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.